Welcome back. After years of investigations, testimony is expected in just a few hours into the case of Hunter Biden. Two IRS whistleblowers allege the president's son received preferential treatment. They will testify publicly for the first time. Florida Congressman Byron Donalds, a Republican member of the House Oversight Committee, is with me right now. Congressman, thank you so much for being here. I want to get to everything. A big part of these claims is that U.S. Attorney Matthew Graves didn't support the investigation, that David Weiss had to actually get special counsel to bring charges outside of his district. But is that enough evidence to point to corruption?
Well, let's actually get into all of this. Yes, you're correct in part about what happened at the Department of Justice. A couple of things at the DOJ. Number one, David Weiss tried to bring charges in not one but two different jurisdictions, Washington, D.C. and in California. He was denied by the U.S. attorneys in both jurisdictions. So there's a major issue with respect to why wasn't he allowed? If he was denied in these two jurisdictions, then you have to know that Attorney General Merrick Garland knew full well about that. So that's number one. Number two, the IRS whistleblowers, these two gentlemen, they are the A-team with respect to investigating international tax evasion. But they're the best at this. They've been doing it for a decade. They've been investigating Hunter Biden for about 3 years now. This investigation started, more than that, excuse me. This investigation started in 2018 when this investigation was first opened up. Around 2019, 2020, that's when all the decision-making in the Department of Justice started being slow-walked, in part, I believe, because of Joe Biden's prominence in our politics. That's number two. Number three, one of the things that is going to come out today is that a lot of the money that the Biden family was receiving from foreign countries, foreign companies, was in Joe Biden's last year and a half as vice president of the United States. So there are major public corruption issues with the Biden family. And I do believe there is an obstruction of justice inside the Department of Justice that has allowed Hunter Biden to essentially get off with a slap on the wrist.
And he actually arranged the plea deal with investigators or with the DOJ. The slap on the wrist term we've heard over and over again. He's in the clear, isn't he, over these tax charges? Is the key in hearing this testimony to hold the DOJ and the IRS accountable?
Yeah, because what's happened now is the statute of limitations on the major, the large monies that where taxes were simply evaded, the statute of limitations is now passed. I believe, and this is something we're going to go through the process of proving, that you have the political brass and some of the political holdovers in the Department of Justice. They are the ones that were essentially slow walking this to get past the statute of limitations. Another key issue that has come out of this investigation is that his attorneys were tipped off that the IRS was going to come in for interviews. They were tipped off, and about 10 other people were tipped off by somebody within the Department of Justice or the FBI. What you have is massive cover-up going on in these agencies. The last piece of this is that if David Weiss is trying to bring charges, but he's denied, and Merrick Garland knows about this, who at the White House knows about this? The White House counsel would have to know, which means that Joe Biden would have to know about all this. And at the end of the day, Joe Biden has lied to the American people. He does know that his son was taking money from foreign companies overseas. And what was the payback for all this money? I don't think these countries and these companies gave the Biden family over $30 million just out of the goodness of their heart.
But what are the consequences? We keep hearing about claims, but what happens next for these agencies?
Well, the first thing is, in my view, we're actually going through the appropriation process right now. So I believe that we're going to have some serious repercussions in these agencies from an appropriation standpoint. Number two, we're going to continue to dig into our investigations because you really have to be able to tie all these things together. And I think they're there, but we're going to need probably a little bit more. You do that, then there could be censure/impeachment charges depending on the various agencies and who in those agencies you're going to go after, namely Merrick Garland, maybe the Deputy Attorney General as well. Number three, Joe Biden has been involved in a public corruption scandal. As we continue to track this money down as it flows to him, I believe you have impeachment charges against the President of the United States.
Congressman Byron Donalds, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Hope to see you again here on Morning in America.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.